Okay. Second question is, when you come out Old Mill Boulevard, and take a right on Berry. Have you guys driven down Berry Road?
Mhm.
Notice anything about Berry Road that give you any concerns? Traffic?
I guess I didn't. I also drove it at
Well,
1 o'clock this afternoon. So probably-
It's a country road. Has been a country road for a long time.
Mhm.
You take a right out of there, and the first bend is a very sharp bend with no guardrails on the side. Go down the hill past, which cars have done. You come down to the bottom, there's a serpentine almost down there. And come up, cars spin out on top of that serpentine and go over the hill into those big bushes. And you come down the next bend to the left, and it's a sharp bend, and cars are like crossing over constantly down. Then you get to that great intersection down on Manifold Road down there. Yeah, that T up. You notice that one?
Yep, I've been there. Yep.
Well, that's my concern, initially, right off the bat, is that road.
Okay.
And the traffic on that road. I mean, that,
Let me follow on to Jay's question here too. How many delivery trucks do you basically have in a day or in a week? Because there's a big sign, no trucks are allowed to make a right and go on Berry Road, just for the reasons Jay explained. So, all the trucks, hopefully, these truckers are alert to this. I mean, I've seen trucks that are only following their GPS and they'll go there and not read any signs.
Yep.
So how many trucks are there gonna be?
Typically, we're about 3 to 5 a day.
3 to 5.
Yeah. So not a lot. Our distribution center and our manufacturing facilities are in Ohio, so they'd be taking the highways down, so they shouldn't be using
Right.
that back access. We have, preferred routes that we give all of our truckers when they leave the DCs to go to the stores. So we will have them coming off 19. We anticipate 19 obviously being the main
Yeah,
entrance and way to get to the
Right.
store. That is where we're positioning our stores to face 19. So we can try to get, that kind of,
I'm not too concerned with the trucks. Really. I'm concerned with the local traffic that's gonna take a right coming out of there and the people coming off the highway and coming up Manifold and going in that. You're gonna have trucks hauling trailers with lumber going down and taking a right. They're not gonna care. They're gonna take a right. There are cars coming up. I take that road every day, and I've almost been hit at least once a month coming around. Somebody cut the bend, and they're supposed to do 25. They're not. There has to be something done with that road. It either has to be widened, has to be speed bumps in it, it has to have flashing red lights, just to indicate there's gas to turn coming. Something has to be done with that road.
Okay.
And I would like, and before you get started on it, I would like our chief of police come in and tell us about what he's seen down there and what he would think would help on that. That's my main concern. Right now, I like the project itself, so forth and so on right now, but that is a problem.
Can I add something?
Sure.
So,
Mr. Chairman, Mr. Chairman, could I interject something?
Yeah, sure, good.
Just as a follow-up to what has been said so far, and to expand upon what Jay has said, I see the biggest problem being if people are picking up lumber or any kind of building materials from there, and they are going to go north from there to wherever their project site would be, there is going to be a great temptation to use Berry Road to access Manifold to I-79 North. And I agree, just to expand upon that, I agree with what's been said already, that I think we need to have the Township Department of Public Safety look into this as far as what can be done and what should be done there. Thank you.
Mr. Chairman, say your name for the record, sir.
I'm Sam Adler, I'm the leasing development for the Stanford Group, we own the old mill.
Okay,
So just wanted to give everybody a little history on the project. So the owners before us, this site plan has been approved for almost 750,000 square feet of retail, so we're far below that. So nothing that we're building with this minority project puts us above and beyond what was originally approved traffic and everything else to be considered. With that being said, I'd be interested to know if hobby lobby trucks, if sportsman warehouse trucks are using the going back to manifold, because I really see very little traffic.
Again, I'm not worried about the trucks,
Well,
delivery trucks, I'm not worried about those.
Honestly,
I'm just, the regular traffic has picked up tremendously on that.
There was a development, I'm not sure exactly when, part of the old mill development that was going to improve, part of their mitigation was going to improve Berry Road. They were
Correct.
actually gonna fill in, to put a regular T intersection in there instead of those goofy half lane Ys at the intersection of Berry Road and Manifold. That was gonna be a mitigation, and unfortunately, for a number of other reasons I won't get into, that never got approved. The developer was gonna propose to, I don't know, 250,000 or whatever, to actually at least improve that intersection.
so that was an apartment project, which would be,
Exactly.
which would be a much higher traffic use and bring more everyday traffic. And what we've seen is there's owners in the shopping center, is people actually use our access road to come through from 19 back through Berry Road, Manifold, without even stopping in the shopping center. So that's really been the issue.
Yeah.
That's still traffic on the road, so it doesn't make a difference further coming.
No, I do that.
The only thing I was gonna-
But that,
Let me ask you too, some of this area was a disposal for that big slip that happened on the old mill when that was first constructed. That whole area was regraded, and I know some of the fill material was put over in this area. So I just wondered, what kind of geotechnical study you're gonna do before you get started in this building, even though it's just a low impact footprint. That area was part of the old spoil from that slip. And I'm not sure exactly where it is out on there, but they took that,
I think that's parcel 11, ending in 11.
is that right? I wasn't sure where it was, I just
I
wondered.
think that's their
You
parking
folks are
lot
aware of
areas
that.
that they're proposing here on that edge of the development, is that right?
so regardless of that, we'll clearly be affected once everything.
There's been a lot done already. We'll continue to do more too, for our specific needs as well.
Yeah, there was a particular type of retaining wall there a long time ago. Now it's really great change.
Yeah, we've heard the horror stories, so.
Sitting in pennies watching the floor crack.
We don't want that.
Literally, people were watching the floor crack right across the thing, just left selling.
No, we're gonna do plenty of studies, make sure that does not happen.
Yeah, no, I just want to make sure you're
Yeah.
aware of it.
Then again, on that, I'm kind of stuck with it.
Yeah.
It's just, Country Road's been there forever. I think it's like one of the shortest roads we have in the whole township. It's probably one of the heaviest travel. Again, I've seen, you can talk to our police force, we'll tell you about the accidents that happen. And nothing, in weather like this, you take that first bend, you're literally going down over a hill into a pasture, probably at least 100 yards to the bottom of the creek down. And people get hurt pretty bad. There's no guardrails, for one. Two, you can't cut it on the right-hand side with hillside trees like that. But it needs something done.
How far along are you in the process of when do you anticipate taking your next step?
So obviously our first step here with you guys tonight. There are some wetlands that are being impacted. We are 90% done with that wetland application. So we plan on submitting that here this month. That's going to be the longest process of this whole project. We're hoping to have everything wrapped up by the time that gets approved, which is typically 9 to 12 months. But in the meantime, as we wait for that wetland permit, we will be going through the rest of the process with you guys. So we're looking at probably next fall. Probably to get everything wrapped up and then construction would start
This fall or next fall?
2022.
Oh, okay.
So and then construction would start after, sometime after that. And with the amount of work out here, we're probably looking at a 2 construction season project.
How many acres of wetlands do you have inside?
0.08, I believe.
Oh, is that it?
Yeah.
Got it all? Got it all. Is there a
Takes
big
9
hole out
months to
there?
get a permit.
It's a horseshoe right now.
Yeah, it's a big hole out
So,
there.
and the horseshoe's high, so we're just pushing it in and
Yeah.
balancing out. It ends up working out pretty good.
You don't have any comments from the engineer on this, do you?
No, not for
Right.
me. The only question I have is that the original subdivision shows One of those parcels is a conservation parcel.
Which one's that?
I know Pat brought that up at one point.
It's right in the front.
I think there was a,
This is, oh, this is not. Yeah, this zip code.
Yeah, I think we can clear that up past that, but I'll get back.
Okay.
I don't even know if I got the right. The most latest subdivision, I just saw that it was coming, and I got curious where is this?
So we spoke about it, back to the set, split it up, I'll give it to you, so.
yeah, we've seen it before.
Thank you.
Mr. Chairman, I have one more question. I have one more question.
Yeah, Joe, go ahead.
If I'm looking at the layout correct, are you will this be rerouting a section of Old Mill Boulevard?
No.
Yes, 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 a little bit.
Do you hear the
Okay.
answer, Joe?
Yes, thank you.
What part of that's gonna be?
So basically, the road that runs behind the end of the center, we're gonna halfway through that water break, that's the high road.
Oh, okay, I got it.
They're talking about.
Oh, okay.
So we're essentially moving it this way and taking some of their lot. Yep.
Anything else?
No, I just, again. I mean, we may want to talk to the chief. Or here, or Brandon, or somebody, get some thoughts off. Drew.
Exactly, which means before they do this project, or complete this project, the township needs to take a look at that road to see.
Well,
what's
absolutely.
needed now.
I mean, there's some things can be done, rather slow down.
It
You
needs
get-
widening, well, at that entryway where that road is, where Berry Road comes into that, when you make the right, I mean,
Go
yeah,
airborne.
exactly,
Yeah.
the bends and all that, and the concern like, yeah, there's traffic and it's, if it was a regular commercial development where you just have regular residential traffic going in and out, that's one thing, but they're gonna be hauling lumber in that, and you don't know, there's things can be sticking out of the back ends of the trucks and different things like that, so it's a different kind of traffic. That's not.
Thank you very much. Do you have anything else?
No, that's all the questions you got then. That should be good. I'll be back obviously in the future, so if you have any other questions in the meantime, Brandon can get them over to me and we can work through them.
Sounds good. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Taking the time.
Thank you. Be safe. when you trip.
Yeah, you drive back now.
Good luck.
All right, thank you.
All right, looks like we'll move forward then with the public hearing for consideration of the application for a text amendment to zoning code from America Real Estate Company to allow mini warehouse or self-storage facility as conditional use in the C2.
Sure.
Is someone here from the applicant?
My name is Gordon J. David. I represent the petitioner and the applicant. My address is 5,000 Abbey Lane in Alpha. It's really next door to you as well, golf towards every other interest. Like to amend the initial application, which you should have with the exhibits that were submitted. And instead of operating under section 24 subsection 218, we will change that to section 24 subsection 218 of the zoning ordinance. I had read your zoning ordinance and stayed up nights, it's so interesting. And I've also read your comprehensive plan. And I can at least put on the record that our ultimate proposal, I think, is in sync with both your zoning ordinance and your comprehensive plan. Officially, I'm going to have Mike Semba testifying on behalf of the applicant. And I don't know whether he has to be sworn in or what.
He should be sworn in. And we should list as exhibits the documents. I'm assuming you want your application
Yeah,
as Exhibit A. I'm assuming the two drawings would be Exhibits B and C. So you're requesting the planning commission to place those evidence, correct?
yes,
So there's a motion to that effect?
yes.
No, it's not done, that.
Yes.
You want,
You need a motion and a second for that.
you want to do them all at one time when they're done?
Yes, what,
I mean, you want to wait till all their exhibits are in, Mr. Michael, or do you want to do them as they come?
I would do the A, B, and C, A being the application, B being the first drawing, I guess, of the lot, and second, B would be the second drawing, and C would be the proposed, I guess, is there something besides a D? A would be the application, B the drawing, C a second drawing, anything else besides that, Mr. Reagan?
Yes,
What else do you have?
yeah.
All right, do we have a newspaper notice also, that means, what else do you have?
We have a proposal that would actually explain a little bit more time with our.
Do you have copies for the, you have copies for planning commission?
Yes.
All right, so that will be exhibit, the next exhibit. Do you have that, Sheila?
E, right?
Correct, yes.
And we also have,
Just for the record, that was not provided to the township before this, right?
Mr. Sutter, yes, we met with him prior to and left him with a copy of this as well as the preliminary site.
Okay, thank you.
and I have had conversations with him.
Okay, I understand, that's fine. So exhibit E will be that proposal, Mr. Zemba?
Yes,
Yes.
All right, so you want to give copies of that proposal to each council member, I'm sorry, each person. And also one to Mr. Stanek, one to the stenographer.
And this is E, the one you're handing out?
Yes, that's easy. That's easy.
Yes, please.
I believe you have a copy of, I brought two,
Larger copies of the preliminary site.
I go.
I believe you have this. There's also a small version in the pamphlet that I gave, so this is just an illustration on larger scale.
So these are gonna be more or less the sort of multi-level.
Yeah, our,
storage areas.
correct. Our expansion of what we do as far as our business model, obviously, we've been in this community since the late seventies.
Yeah, you've been around a long time.
Yeah, we have. And of course, our business model continues to change versus customers' wants and needs. and our
If
storage
I can,
department.
if I can just interrupt.
Yeah.
Are you testifying right now?
I'll
If you want to testify, you have to be sworn in.
be sworn in.
All right, sorry about
Got
that.
it right there.
Michael B. Zemba Jr.
Do you solemnly swear that the testimony you're about to give will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
And Mike, can you state your name
Sure. Michael D. Zemba Jr.
and what position do you hold with America Real Estate Company?
I'm an area district vice president.
And how long have you been employed?
Working on 33 years.
Now, you're familiar with the application that America has submitted with regard to.
Yes,
And that's based upon a sales agreement to purchase the relevant property. And if in fact, the ultimate approval is granted by the board of supervisors, you can close on that particular property.
yes.
You're familiar with one of the documents that was appended to the application. It has America Real Estate Company. I think you have a copy of that. All right, would you generally review this for the plan?
Sure. So as indicated on the application that we submitted, our goal is to purchase the property next to us based upon a seeking of the zoning amendment to allow us for an expansion of our business model with self-storage and our portable self-storage unit, which we call a U-Box. And in the application, we believe that, as Mr. Rapick had stated, that our plan meets your comprehensive plan to be able to expand our services. The self-storage industry of what we have, it's very low impact, creates very little additional traffic flow to our existing business. And it actually is a component for us that actually helps with our sustainability initiatives to reduce footprints for the customers, and it actually increases service with the growing population in and around the area that we're not able to serve currently.
If this particular request or petition were granted, do you know whether it would result in any danger to the health, safety, and welfare of the South Strabane citizens or any of the invitees?
No.
And again, we have reviewed in detail your comprehensive plan and your zoning ordinance. And in your zoning ordinance, as a point of information, you might want to reference the most recent comprehensive plan. Have the other one. Yeah, that's to show you that I read all this stuff, okay? And with that, we would appreciate if you would make a recommendation to the Board of Supervisors that this particular zoning amendment be approved, and it's a win-win. Not only we're asking you to approve a zoning amendment as a conditional use, so you have additional jurisdiction over the project. And Mike will answer any questions that you have.
And if I may, I can kind of go back. Yes,
Let me
please.
ask you a few questions. I believe that these units in the industrial zoning district require 5 acres minimum. Now, how many acres you can have when you purchase that additional property behind?
Megan, the code is,
6.31 is one parcel.
yes, 6.1 is what we have currently on our existing site. And these two combined, it's going to be a 2.31. Yes, and we have a 6.1 currently, correct? Right, yes.
The other thing I need to mention is that your drawings or site plan drawings are really illegible. I mean, the draftsman or the surveyor that drew them up is at a scale that you can't really see what's going on. I mean, you have a big 24 by 36 in the drawings, and you really can't see. What I'm talking about is the most, like, this thing here, you can't even move.
Gotcha.
Why the scale, he made it that scale and such a big dimension, to lose twice that size.
Sure.
You can see what's going on.
That's the reason why.
Yeah, we can.
Yeah, I think before the Board of Supervisors.
Actually, both of them.
Yeah, both of them, they need to be
Scaled up.
scaled up so you can really see.
What are you doing with the residential houses back there? Anything?
They would actually be demoed.
Or no,
Yes.
all three of them, all three structures?
Correct. Yeah, and on the larger conceptual, which you have a small version in the back of the booklet that I passed out, this is a little more to scale. This is really just preliminary, just to kind of show you a little bit about what our intentions would be with your insight, obviously. And the booklet that we have, these are, we've been expanding, we've been in business since for 75 years, since 1945. And we've done a lot of reuse projects throughout our business model and our career as far as being in business. The past 10 years, we've started to expand more to meet services on ground up projects. So what we have put together for you is just some of those footprints that we built around the United States. I actually take care of all of Pennsylvania, my area, West Virginia, parts of Ohio and Maryland. Give you a little bit of intel. We do a lot of reuse projects around here. We just completed some in the Beaver Valley in Monaca. We purchased the Kmart in Chippewa. We just did one in Westview.
That, of course, what we do whenever we expand is we look at what's the reason to do that, to meet the customer's needs, obviously. And in our particular case here, we've been underserving this market community substantially by not being able to offer the storage component in our U-Box to them. So rather than going out and buying a new piece, which is right next to us, makes sense, just to be able to provide this community what they've been seeking. And like I said, you'll see in here, you have a lot of different variations. So we're very meticulous in what we build, obviously with the help from the township and the community we want to fit in. We're going to give you a nice looking facility, a nice building. So you can see we have a lot of different elevations, a lot of different looks, different directions, and so on and so forth. So those are just to give you a little bit of a variety.
Do you have sales agreements with these vendors?
We do, yes. And like I said, Megan is here representing the sellers. And so she has interest in the decision moving forward, obviously.
And you're the one right next to the highway, that's gone through a couple of times.
Yeah, use Carlisle.
Yeah.
It'll certainly be.
Now, we have some traffic studies, again, not to belabor the booklet, but in the back. Of course, everybody's concerned, one of the bullet points within ours is, traffic flow coming in and out, how much does it increase? If you do look in the back of the book, we use a very good sample of business models. Of course, ours is open 7 days a week, and it has been. And we have comparisons in here to show you the trip counts for self-storage versus any other type of establishment, convenience stores, and so on, just to give you an idea of the lower amounts coming in.
I have a friend of mine has a bunch of self-storage.
Yeah.
They keep them stuff for years.
Yep, well, typically,
Literally years.
you're exactly right. Our general public stays 10 months to a year, that we have folks that have been storing with us for a little bit, 25 years. And you're right, a lot of them will come maybe once a year, maybe quarterly, but it's whenever they're ready for the next leg in their living situation.
Right.
Point A to point B.
They built one up, Route 19 where the Cadillac dealership used to be.
Yes.
Never looks like there's anybody there.
Correct. Yeah, and of course, like I said, moving in storage is, we started to get into the storage business in the mid to late 70s. We started with trailers. Of course, most people are familiar with U-Haul's moving equipment that we actually share with the public. And of course, moving and storage go hand in hand. And as we've continued to grow and expand, and as the population does, our research and studies use a low of 1 and a high of 25, and it's called a market area penetration for self-storage. So we measure the self-storage component of how many units in a 3-mile radius based upon population. The lowest 1 unit per 1,000, the highest 25 in the saturated market. This one's 7, so it's well below even the halfway point.
Did you say Melissa?
Yeah, Megan.
Oh, Megan, I'm sorry.
Real estate broker.
Pick up the M and not to.
I have cards too, but.
No, that's okay. My only question was just if you're representing the sellers, and I'm assuming everything's fine with them, is there anything that they wanted expressed to the board?
Not to my knowledge, they're excited about this going forward.
I know they were they were gonna change that auto dealership to more like high-end used cars. But the zoning changed, and there was only 2 acres there, and they need 10 acres for a car lot now, and they were gonna go for variance, and then I know they were here for a couple meetings, and then
And then they ultimately had to close the business and they moved out of state, so they're not able to be here.
yeah, that's fine. That's all right. I mean, I wondered because it seemed like it was gonna go forward for a while.
Yeah, they went through a lot.
Yeah.
Work to get that approved.
And then the other 2 are currently owned by homeowners, like
They-
residences.
Yes. Asking me daily when they can start looking for a home. They'd like to know what the rules are.
And given the type of traffic, for limited traffic, honestly, for the self-storage,
Yes.
there's no break in the highway there. I mean, for something to go in there of anything, that's probably, that's not a bad thing to go in there.
We think
That's
so.
what I'm thinking. I mean,
that have any other evidence they wish to submit?
You know, in
Or
famous
testimony?
words of the trial lawyer, the petitioner rests.
You're talking to another lawyer, so.
Well, that's
Pretty much what you're saying.
You got one over there too. We got
Oh, you got one over there
too.
too.
Anyhow,
Like bookends here.
off the record at this point, I do have copies of the purchase and sales agreement. One.
Off the record? I don't.
We'll take a copy, we'll take a copy from the file.
All right.
If you wanna
See
leave that.
You get a copy.
Thank you.
Mr. Zep,
Also, this is definitely off the record. I go to a lot of municipalities and so, and sometimes the sword comes out and sometimes it's two legs. But I want to compliment your office staff here and your manager and so forth for just being totally professional and courteous to us. And you should know that.
Mr. Makel, do you have some questions for the applicant?
I do. Mr. Zemba, this, well, it was Exhibit E, this, he called it booklet or whatever.
Yes, our presentation.
Pamphlet. Now, you have in here a number of pictures of different facilities in California and Minnesota. One that says XXX.
Yes.
Is this what you're proposing to build? Is this an example of something you're considering?
Yes.
Or are you considering storage units, sort of like you have, I guess, across Racetrack Road there by the corner there? So is this what, can you explain what you're going to try to do?
Yes, so our component that you're looking at in here, this is interior self-storage. They're climatized buildings, individually alarmed rooms, state-of-the-art security. And that's what we're proposing to expand is to build a facility of that. And these are just examples that we go around the system, around the U-Haul system, if you will, in the nation and in Canada. Up the road is what we consider drive-up self-storage. That's not what we're considering.
So these are just some type of examples that may be pursued in the development of the property.
You got it, yes.
Okay. And, go ahead.
Mr. Chairman,
Yes, Mr. Stanley?
2 points. If the planning commission is leaning towards a positive recommendation, I would offer 2 points. The first point being the text amendment to allow this in the C2 district is contingent upon land development approval and building permit issuance. What that does is that makes sure that you all are moving forward with the project and nothing happens. And it's not like you up and leave overnight and we're stuck with a storage facility in the C2 district. Secondly, I would encourage the planning commission to secure design rights and the authority to approve the design of the structure.
So what you're suggesting is that that be part of the text amendment if it goes through, correct?
We would have no objections to your options.
You have come, some of the parameters there anyway, some height.
Yes.
Yeah, there were certain
And again, it's,
height restrictions.
this evening are just a lot of examples. The preliminary site plan we have is just very generic. We obviously know that we would have to meet your requirements, height, size, look, things of that nature. You know, our goal tonight is to seek your blessing on moving us forward to allow us with the text amendment to develop and expand our service on our properties with the purchase of the ones next to us.
Ms. Phyllis has a question.
Yeah, in regards to like the 5 acre requirement that Fred brought up and all, I mean, you're purchasing a 2.31 acre, I'm assuming, but I want to ask just to make sure or clarify, you're going to combine that all into one parcel then?
Yes,
I would assume.
that would be our desire.
Okay. Well said.
And point of clarification for me, I guess, as well too, is what you're requesting today is a text amendment to allow essentially the exact same ordinance or language from our ordinance that allows a self-storage in an I2, or is the one as an I1 as a special exception? Like what are we don't have it in front of us, right?
Right.
I don't see it. Is there a written version of what they're requesting?
What was in the they did not submit an ordinance for the commissioner, for the commission to consider.
Okay.
What we did provide was section 245, 142, which are the existing conditions A through Y. Wow. A through Y on mini warehouse and self-storage facilities.
That would be part of the conditional use. correct?
So they're asking for this to be allowed as conditional use. They would have to meet these that are already established in the code.
Yes, for that.
Yes. Should this go to the board, or if the planning commission would want to see it first, staff would work with legal counsel and the petitioner to make sure that that ordinance that goes to the board is reflective of exactly what took place here tonight.
I can agree.
So what I think I am asking, and this is just me asking them too, before we make any kind of recommendation at this point, I think that would involve, I would want to review what this is actually going to look like before I would be comfortable recommending approval of adding this to our ordinance. And I don't have that tonight.
I agree.
Is that,
What you're saying is that we should give you the language of the actual amendment that's being proposed as a conditional use. Is that right?
and I think you should
want
give
the
us, I
language.
would propose what you're proposing, and then our council can take a look at it.
Correct,
And then
that's
we
right.
can look at it and see what we may want to adjust
But-
for a C2 versus what we've
Right.
already done for it.
That's almost analogous to a curative amendment where you have to give the language of the particular cure that you're asking for. I do understand.
That would be.
But this is not a curative, it's still.
No.
Yeah.
Just
All right.
by way of analogy.
Okay.
But is your main intent for the text amendment really is just to add it as a conditional use in the C2, following the same guidelines
Yes.
as what already
Yes.
If you're
exists?
gonna tell me that, then we can take that, and I'll still want to look at this as our own version. I don't think we're gonna go through, I don't wanna take all the time to go through this tonight.
I concur.
Okay. I have something to add, if you may.
Yes, Mr. Scott.
Yes. Just a question about the site itself. There's approximately, I looked at it, about a 50-foot change in elevation from the front of the site to the rear, if I'm correct in reading the drawing. And this goes back to the land development information that was talked about earlier, I believe by Mr. Makel. Are you in a position to give us at least some drawings that would indicate what your facility would look like on that site?
We can, yes. And this evening, we have two proposals. They're very generic on the parcels next to us. And again, our intent is to combine that to meet the requirements of the 5 acres. To get to the up behind us, which is the majority of our current site, there is a large elevation difference there for sure. And we can provide any of that if we get the movement to go forward with the amendment to allow the use. So we can
Okay.
provide you a site plan markup. We can provide you with an elevation of what it would look like, very similar to the pamphlet that I shared this evening. We'll get very specific with this particular site. I think that's what you're asking.
Okay. Yes,
So.
thank you.
Let me ask a question as far as the, what we have on the.
Gordon.
Now with the mini warehouse. There's a 20-foot maximum height elevation, and looking at your examples, I don't think any of them are 20 feet or less. I mean, is that gonna be a problem for you?
We like to go higher than 20 feet, but we have built 20 feet. Our typical, if you look at these, is about 35.
Yeah, that's what I thought.
Well, if it's conditional use, would that be able to be addressed?
Could be,
They would
And
consider that.
So
I mean,
my
Mr. Makel, go ahead.
My recommendation would be is for Mr. Raby on behalf of his client to ask for continuance, provide the necessary documentation as requested by the by the planning commission. I'm all over the place. By the planning commission. That would be my recommendation.
You know, even at the
I can
same,
hardly disagree with council.
you may, in the maximum height, you may want to look at that. So
Sure.
that can be something,
Yeah,
you can kick that up.
Before we
20
move,
20 feet is
pretty low
pretty low.
for a place like this, and you're gonna go through all this site development.
So you might as well just try to.
We thought that, and again, great feedback for us, seriously, that was tonight, is to get a feeling of where we're at
Yeah.
and the receptiveness to it, so for sure.
I mean, the reception's pretty good.
Okay,
Yeah,
So you might as well just try that too.
Yeah,
I mean, I don't
sure.
see a problem with that.
yeah, I don't either. I mean, you know, you have those right across the road, the hospital facility there, that's 40 or 50 feet, whatever.
sure.
So I think in that particular area, it isn't gonna look out of place.
No,
And to go through all this effort, to only put 20-foot high building seems, Seems like-
consistent with what's allowed in that zone.
Yeah,
Great, yeah.
yeah, try that. I mean, that's.
Well, let's do this. Is there anyone else here, anyone here that wants to speak or is in the area, any on this issue? Well, before you speak, if you're gonna speak,
Yes, be
you can
sworn
tell
in.
us here, we'll swear you in and put you on the record, so.
Okay, state your full name. You solemnly swear that the testimony you're about to give will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God.
Before, can you tell us who you are on the record and who you represent, and what you're doing?
Megan E. Moore, I'm a real estate broker with Hannah Lang, Schools and Ellis, and I represent both sellers of these parcels. And I just wanted to make sure that the sales agreement that was presented is not made public necessarily without the permission of the seller. I realize that we handed it to the folks here tonight, but I would feel uncomfortable if it was somehow published.
Do you want us to give it, I suggest that we give it back. to you.
Yeah,
Give it back.
You have,
This is a public.
It's never been.
I know.
Who did you give it to?
Just give it back to you.
Please.
Does anybody have it?
Never presented.
Oh, you didn't get to it?
Typically, they black out they redact the,
Price and the terms.
yes.
Right, but we don't, no, so no one here has on the planning commission?
I don't have it.
Brandon?
No, he did, no.
Okay, I'll forward that then.
All right, so we don't have it.
So-
You're right,
Don't have.
on direction.
that's why we don't care.
All right, so at
This
this,
cost.
Go ahead, Mr. Maker.
at this point in time, Mr. Ray, you're asking for a continuance on this matter, providing appropriate documentation as requested by the planning commission, correct?
Yes,
On behalf of your client.
yes.
All right, thank you, Mr. Ray.
Yes, Mr. Stanton.
Mr. Moore, since you advised such, could we have your client's signature on the zoning application as owner?
I don't think that would be a problem at all.
Thank you.
So,
Okay, so we want to go ahead and accept the exhibits and notice at this
I
point.
thought we already did, didn't we?
No,
We didn't actually do the motion.
So we need a motion to place those exhibits A through E.
I'll make a motion to put the exhibits A through E into the official record.
We'll start with
All in favor?
Aye.
Motion carried.
Okay.
Can we have a motion to continue then?
I'll make the motion to continue the application for this storage facility. The period of time with a waiver of the fees, a waiver of the.
Pursuant to the request of the attorney or the applicant.
Okay.
Like, that request needs to be in writing as well. I know
Who's
we're on the
gonna do that?
record, but
I will do that in writing.
That's fine.
all right, we have a motion to continue. Do we have a second? Any discussion?
No.
All in favor?
Aye.
Anybody opposed? Did you hear that motion, Joe?
Yes, I tried to say aye, but you went for the opposed before I could.
So you're an aye?
I'm an aye.
Okay. Motion carried. Okay,
Thank you.
Joe.
I guess
Thank you. At this
next
point, we'll
week
close
or
the hearing.
next
At
month.
this point, until-
Okay, my pleasure.
Professional. Did you give me that? I didn't have my card.
I do. All right.
Okay, thank you.
So thank you. buddy.
Okay, we can move on to. Mr. Maple, is the next agenda item, is this a public hearing as well, continuation of the approval? for
I,
Meadows Landing?
agenda number 6 is what I have now.
It's not,
No, I don't think, no.
No.
okay, we'll move on to the next agenda item. Consideration of final planned residential development approval for Meadows Landing Associates for the Meadows Landing Planned Residential Development located along Landings Drive and US Route 19. Is there anybody here from the applicant? Right? Anyone online for the applicant for Meadows Landing? Brandon Hughes, is anybody online for Meadows Landing?
I do not see anybody online representing Meadows Landing.
Not here. It's only my position. If they're not here, we just don't, forget about it.
Skip it or just?
I take position, if they're not here, we deny it or whatever. I mean, it's always my position that they should be here for this.
I agree.
And if they're not here,
There's nothing to do without them. We're always the best position as well. What is it?
Scott, you submitted a letter regarding that address we had. And I know that your recommendation is that we do not approve because of it was assumed related situation. Yes. Has anything changed since then?
Wait, I think we have someone with a
And
hand
that's
up.
my
Let me
question,
double
because
check.
if nothing's changed.
hand up.
Yeah.
Where you parked up, is this right?
Watch the snow. Mr. Chairman, I was still here.
Park East Drive?
My wife is in the car.
I should have been in here.
Let me see if
One of
the
those
applicant's
things
on
where-
first.
Chief Tom. She is right there?
Yes.
Are you all done now? Happy to skip it. Nice seeing you.
Brandon,
Be safe.
you get officially notified?
Be safe. Get now.
Approval before, you have to see it to recommend approval.
Let's go around.
That was a letter from the.
They got here?
No one?
Guys aren't coming back here? Okay.
Well,
Yeah, sure, no problem. Yeah, do that,
I'm sure Ms. Scavati and so what's your name again?
Jeff.
And Jeff might have some comment to make. I will ask you to keep it brief since no one's here and you're probably gonna have to come back anyway. To make, to put a comment on this, but you came all the way out here, it's a snowy day, so sir, you have the floor if you want to speak about this.
Ladies first, did you want to go first, Charlene?
Is this concerning Meadows Landing?
Yes,
Yes?
they're not here, they're not going to entertain anything.
Okay, so is it all right if I speak my concerns?
Can you keep, Ms. Scavati, I'm gonna ask you if you do to keep it brief, please, because again, there's nothing's gonna happen on this, and I know you've been online and waiting, and if there's anything new that you want to tell us, please go ahead. You have you can have 3 minutes.
Okay, yes, there is something new.
Okay, go ahead, Ms. Scavati.
I've been in touch with the Conservation District and DEP, and on December 28th, there was an incompleteness letter, number 2, that was directed to Hal Kessler. And to date, there's no response from them. And this is Conservation speaking. It says the applicant still was not signed the notification forms, only the consultant. The wetland stream report maps does not cover the entire project. Infiltration rates used do not match the values listed in the infiltration testing reports. Point of interest do not match acreage compared to the post-construction stormwater worksheets. Soil information chart is not provided. Under drains and outfalls are not located at a stream. Outfalls are from previous construction. Volume reduction credits are being taken in a watershed identified as impaired. Sediment basin elevations are inconsistent. Point of interest number 2 is not located at a stream. Basin 2 emergency spillway is in 2 different places. Do you need a 105 authorization for the road to the pump station? Submit a permit or a waiver approval or reliable evidence to the contrary as to why the permit was not submitted or a waiver request. And this is me speaking. This still has to go to the DEP for their technical post-construction review. And they're still draining waters in, they're still draining waters into non-surface waters, which isn't permitted by the DEP. And this development has no approval from WEJA, just a proposed plan. So where this line for the sewage is proposed, it's below a wetland. And this wetland is sitting on bedrock. So I thought maybe before this proposed sewage line was put in, maybe some core borings or something should be done to see if it's even feasible. Because where they're proposing it is near bedrock. So, and they have no stormwater management approvals. So I just think that for this plan to even, come to planning, being so incomplete, it should not even be accepted to supervisors, but they're not there anyway. But there are informations here that really needs corrected before any approval should be done.
Thank you, Mrs. Cavati.
You're welcome.
Jeff, good. Do you have anything to add?
I would never see that. Several comments. Number one, KLH has recommended not to approve the development because of the deficiencies. Number two, the conservation.
No, I didn't.
Recommended not to approve it because of the deficiencies.
Mr. Bull, you said KLH recommended not to, who did they recommend to?
No, he's talking about the letter. You're talking about the letter that the KLH wrote.
August 19th.
This is October 28th.
Huh?
There's, what letter are you?
What letter are you?
August the 19th, 2021.
I don't have that.
There it is. I got more for you. That's okay. We're gonna wait. Okay. Number three, WEJA has not given approval to the development, nor has it indicated that even has capacity for the development. 4, there is presently no entity in the township that can approve or disapprove sewer development. 5, WEJA has notified the township that there is a moratorium on sewage development in the township until such time as the township can legally resume sewage development in the township. 6, there are substantial questions about the propriety, the manner in which the township abolished the sewage authority without any notice to the sewage authority board and/or WEJA, and without any plan of how the sewage development while the township transitions away from using an authority. 7, the township has taken no steps to obtain court approval to dissolve the authority. 8, as a result of the township's clandestine move to abolish the sewage authority, all board members resign, thus leaving the township without any means to carry on with development while the township gets court approval to dissolve sewage authority, which is by no means guaranteed.
Jeff, do you have the KLH letter you were mentioning? Just so I know what you're talking about.
I do. Mr. Popko, I'll email this stuff to you.
Thank you very much.
Yep.
Okay, this is your August letter.
So
What's the date?
It's your August letter.
the last,
We did another letter in October.
Oh.
Was it October letter? Yeah, we got the October letter. We got the October
Thank you, Jeff.
letter, the August letter.
You got one more minute, man.
this property was bought in 2006, so we're sitting on 16 years of working on things that'll work. A lot of things have happened in those years. Money's up, money's down, needs up, needs down. And I don't care. Build it, don't build it. I don't care as long as the township taxpayers aren't participating in it. But we didn't follow the rules with Bass Pro. How's our Bass Pro doing? And if I remember correctly, wasn't Bass Pro supposed to upgrade Berry Road intersection? again, if you don't follow the rules, shit happens. And I'm begging you people to follow the rules.
Thank you,
Me
Jeff.
too.
In words, in my opinion, if any employee or professional service provider to this township had anything to do with the dissolution of the sanitary authority,
We're talking about Meadows Landing right now.
okay, and I
So
am, because
that-
Meadows
talk about
Landing
that
is the
before.
reason that the sewer authority was terminated.
That's
Because the
right.
sewer authority was forcing them to do everything right.
That's right.
And that's the reason. So people that are involved with the township could not follow the rules and let them break the rules. And you're looking into the sewage portion of this as quite a sum of money. Does the township and the taxpayers need to be stuck with that bill? Because that's exactly what will happen, and more to come.
Thank you, Jeff.
Yep.
Since the applicant is not here, we're just gonna move on past this agenda item. Mr. Maker, is there any action we need to take?
Well, the engineer, today, we had different things to look at today, correct? According to the proposed situation.
Yes.
So since they're not here, the recommendation will be to deny the current request, correct?
Correct.
Yes.
But that should be the,
Were you denying?
well, they're not here to make a request, because I'm looking at recommendations. Approved condition upon receiving a sewer capacity letter from Ouija. This is the recommendation. This is on page 2. If more information is required, continue consideration to a date certain. If more information is not required, vote to recommend. You can't vote to recommend it because we don't have anything.
Well, let me ask you this, did they,
I'm looking at what's on here. This is what we have on agenda item 6, the recommendation. So they haven't complied with what you're suggesting, correct, Scott?
Correct.
my question is this, when they were here last month, did they not, they gave us a written extension of the time, is that correct, Brandon?
I believe so.
And did they ask to be put on the agenda for this meeting?
They did. I'm not sure why they're here.
Okay, so if
Commissioner,
they ask to be on the
I'm really
agenda and
not.
not here, I'm
They
fine
knew
with
they-
recommending that they don't approve the application. If they show up to the supervisor, it's up to the supervisor.
Well, that's my question, Mr. Chairman. If we're a recommending body, so what we can do is recommend to the supervisors that this be denied, correct?
Yes, we could.
And then they either go to the supervisors or they do not, because they're finished with us unless they choose to reapply and come back through the planning commission.
Can we continue? We can't do that there here.
You can't do that without the.
No.
They're not here to give a waiver of time limits.
Right, right.
So I think that we can, I think that, you know, I think that the only, I think, this is me thinking, which is always dangerous, but I think that our only place we can go here is to recommend to the supervisors that it be denied because they're non-compliant at this point.
They were contacted about the meeting, right, Brandon?
Yes, they were in contact. We had several conversations with them. They were made
Okay.
aware of this meeting.
All right, that's all I need.
Somebody would like to make the motion, Chair will entertain it.
I'll make a motion to deny the application, move with our recommendation to the board of supervisors.
I'll second that.
You make a motion to recommend.
Denial.
Recommend denial, correct.
I second that.
Any discussion on the motion?
No.
All in favor?
Aye.
Anybody
Aye.
opposed? No one opposed. Motion carried.
And for the record, I am not here as a member of Ouija tonight. I'm here as a concerned citizen.
Okay, what's next on the agenda then?
That is the number 7.
Washington Plaza.
Thanks, sir.
Is anybody here for the app?
You need me to be sworn in?
Nope. Just tell us who you are.
Mike Rizzo from HMT and Associates. We're the engineers on the project.